Are you appealing these because you say you're innocent? You didn't kill 13 people?
That is correct.
You didn't kill 13 people?
Again, it would be improper for me to comment in any regard to that question.
Guilty of murder.
13 murders.
Guilty of rape.
11 sex crimes.
Guilty of burglary of residence and dwelling house.
19 additional felonies.
Guilty.
Guilty on all counts.
Richard Ramirez was an American serial killer who murdered at least 13 people and was convicted of attempting to murder 5 others. After developing epilepsy as a child, he became a heavy drug user and cultivated an interest in Satanism, which became a calling card for investigators at his crime scenes. He committed at least 30 violent crimes that often included rape and torture, mostly during the spring and summer of 1985. Apprehended in August of that year, Ramirez was sentenced to death at the conclusion of his trial in 1989.
Start seeing something going wrong with Ricky Ramirez. I think what really messed him up was the acid. He would do a lot of acid. The stealing, I noticed the stealing, and then started as a peeping Tom and things like that.
Richard Ramirez was born Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. Known as Richard or Ricky, he was the 5th child of Mexican immigrants Mercedes and Julian Ramirez. Richard reportedly sustained multiple head injuries at an early age. After he was knocked unconscious by a swing at age 5, he began experiencing epileptic fits. As an adolescent, Ramirez was heavily influenced by his older cousin Miguel, who had recently returned from fighting in the Vietnam War. The two smoked marijuana together, as Miguel told Ramirez about the torture and mutilation he had inflicted on several Vietnamese women, corroborating these stories with photographic evidence. At age 13, Ramirez witnessed his cousin kill his wife. Miguel Ramirez was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity and released 4 years later. Dropping out of school in the 9th grade, Ramirez was arrested for the first time in 1977 for marijuana possession. He soon moved to California, formed a cocaine addiction, progressed to burglary, and cultivated an interest in Satanism. He was arrested twice in the Los Angeles area for auto theft, in 1981 and again in 1984, and noticeably began to neglect his personal hygiene.
Took a woman in her 60s and stomped her to death with his foot, leaving an imprint of a shoe on the side of her face. From that to just executing somebody upon walking into a room after he entered a house. He strangled, he used a ligature, he used a tire iron on a young girl, beat her, left her for dead.
Theft turned to violence with Ramirez's first discovered murder on June 28, 1984. The victim was 79-year-old Jenny Vinco, who was sexually assaulted, stabbed, and killed during a burglary in her home. What followed was a spree of brutal murders, rapes, and robberies, leaving dozens of victims in his wake.
Why on earth would you have hurt those people? Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer it at this time.
Ramirez next struck nearly 9 months later. On March 17, 1985, he attacked Maria Hernandez, who managed to escape, and then killed her roommate, Daily Okazaki, 34. Not satisfied with these assaults, he also shot and killed Tsai-Lian Yu, 30, the same evening, spurring a media frenzy that saw Ramirez dubbed the Valley Intruder by the press. Just 10 days later, on March 27th, Ramirez murdered 64-year-old Vincent Zazara and Zazara's 44-year-old wife, Maxine, using an attack style that would become a pattern for the killer. The husband was shot first, then the wife was brutally assaulted and stabbed to death. In this case, Ramirez also gouged out Maxine's eyes. A full-scale police operation yielded no concrete results, and Ramirez repeated his attack pattern on retirees William and Lillian Dewey in May 1985. Over the next few months, his murder rate escalated, claiming another dozen victims in a frenzy of burglary, assault, and brutal violence, complete with satanic rituals. The Los Angeles Police Department responded by putting together a dedicated task force, with the FBI stepping in to assist. The relentless media and police pressure, aided with descriptions from his surviving victims, forced Ramirez to leave the LA area that August. He journeyed north to San Francisco, where he took 2 more victims, Peter and Barbara Pan, 66 and 64, on August 17th. His unmistakable M.O, complete with satanic symbolism, meant that the Valley Intruder moniker was no longer applicable. The press quickly coined a new name, the Night Stalker, as most of his assaults took place at night in his victims' homes. Ramirez's actions on his final night of terror, August 24, 1985, in the Los Angeles area, soon led to his capture. First, he was spotted outside a Mission Viejo home, where he unwittingly left a footprint before the witness took note of his car and license plate. Later, after Ramirez raped another woman at her home and shot her fiancé, the victim provided a detailed description of her assailant, who had forced her to swear her love for Satan. Ramirez's abandoned car was found a few days later, complete with enough of a fingerprint to make a match, and his criminal record enabled the police to finally put a name to the Night Stalker. National TV and print media coverage featuring his prison photo, along with a series of clues from witnesses and survivors, led to Ramirez's capture on August 31st after he was badly beaten by East Los Angeles residents while attempting 2 carjackings.
Yeah, we will. What have you been arrested for? You ever been arrested before?
Danny, where's your car?
Never been arrested before in L.A.?
Fourth one down.
When? How long ago? Sit up. How long ago?
Right up here. Let's get all these.
What's your name?
Huh?
What's your name?
11.
Ramirez heard the verdicts.
Guilty of murder.
13 murders,
Guilty of rape.
11 sex crimes,
Guilty of burglary of the residence and dwelling house occupation.
19 additional felonies.
Guilty.
Guilty on all counts.
Ramirez waited in jail as his trial was continuously pushed off, the delay marked by a series of motions and bickering between the prosecutors and defense attorney. Because the geographical spread of the crimes also complicated the scope of the trial with jurisdictional issues, some of the charges against Ramirez were dropped in order to expedite what was becoming a long journey to justice. The jury selection process finally moved forward on July 22, 1988, and the trial itself commenced the following January. During this time, Ramirez attracted a cult-like following of supporters, many of whom were black-clad Satan worshippers. Ramirez himself often dressed in black, along with dark shades, for his courtroom appearances.
Why were you in the courtroom today?
I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
I know that he's a nice person because I've met him, and I know.
Yet another delay occurred when one juror was found murdered on August 14, 1989, but rumors that Ramirez had orchestrated her death proved unfounded. On September 20, 1989, the jury finally returned a unanimous guilty verdict on 43 charges, including 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 sexual assault charges, and 14 burglary charges. 2 weeks later, the same jury recommended the death sentence on 19 counts. Leaving the courtroom, Ramirez responded,
Big deal. That's always went with the territories. I'll see you in Disneyland.
The convicted murderer was formally sentenced to death by gas chamber on November 7, 1989, and was sent to San Quentin Prison in California to spend the remainder of his days. While incarcerated, Ramirez married one of his supporters, 41-year-old Doreen Leoy, in 1996. Leoy believed Ramirez was innocent and wrote him dozens of letters before they eventually met at San Quentin. According to the Los Angeles Times, Leoy was loyal to Ramirez and visited him in prison 4 times a week. However, her family disowned her following their marriage.
There are many who would look at Richard Ramirez in the eye and say, he is the face of evil. Mm-hmm. And yet you look at him and you see the man of your dreams.
Yes.
Who needs glasses here?
I can't help the way the world looks at him. They don't know him the way I do.
Leoy reportedly severed her relationship with Ramirez in 2009 when a DNA sample connected him to the rape and murder of a 9-year-old girl in San Francisco on April 10, 1984. There is no official record of divorce. Ramirez's long-awaited appeal finally made it to the California State Supreme Court in 2006, before being rejected. After nearly 24 years on death row, Ramirez died on June 7, 2013, at the age of 53, from complications related to B-cell lymphoma. According to San Quentin corrections officers, Ramirez's death came within days after he was taken to Marin General Hospital in Greenbrae, California. He likely died alone, as friends and family would not have been allowed inside his secured room. Did the Night Stalker get what he deserved? Or did he get off lightly by escaping the chamber? Let us know in the comments below and tell us a crime you find interesting. Also make sure to like and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one, Crime Seekers.